And Sir Keir Starmer has said banning Israeli fans from Aston Villa's Europa League match is the wrong decision. That's after police blocked supporters of Maccabi Tel Aviv from attending over safety fears.
Well, the Prime Minister said that the UK will not tolerate anti-Semitism, while critics across the political spectrum have branded the move a national disgrace and shameful.
Well, the decision comes amid renewed efforts to tackle anti-Semitism following the Manchester synagogue terror attack and a surge in hate crime figures.
Well, let's speak now to former COO of the FA and former CEO of the Jewish Leadership Council, Simon Johnson, who joins us now. Very good morning to you, Simon.
Morning, Stephen. Morning, Ellie.
Morning. What do you make of this decision?
I think it is a cowardly and shameful decision, and it amounts to mob rule. It means that anybody can make threats against a team or its fans, and we now know that the police will cower in front of them on safety grounds and refuse to protect those that are being threatened. And to see the local MP crowing about this just shows that the mob has won. And I think that it is a decision that this country should be very ashamed of.
I mean, clearly, to give the police their due, they are concerned about the possibility of trouble. And maybe they don't feel they've got the resources to tackle it. Under these circumstances, should it be a case of saying we will employ whatever resources from wherever we can to make sure this goes ahead?
I recognise that the police and the safety advisory group have a difficult balance, but let's widen this out a little bit. Villa Park in Birmingham is a regular host of sporting events. They're going to be hosting matches in Euro 2028, the European Football Championships. What on earth are they going to do if Israel qualifies? It is incumbent upon them to ensure that they can keep each team and their fans safe. Otherwise, why are we taking sporting events to Birmingham? If the police are able to protect those being threatened against those who are threatening them, then they're not doing their job. So I understand that they have a difficult balance, but I'm afraid they have got it completely wrong on this occasion, and they have taken a decision that they will not take against the supporters, in my opinion, of any other club that Aston Villa is likely to play this season.
What do you think needs to be done now, Simon? Does this decision need to be looked at? Do you think police needs to come in from other forces to support this match? Or do you think perhaps it should have just been done behind closed doors? I mean, if you're not going to invite the Maccabi supporters, then no one should be invited.
You know very well that there would be absolute outrage if Maccabi Tel Aviv did the same to Aston Villa for the return fixture and said that British fans were not welcome. You know that. So my view is that UEFA and the FA should withdraw Villa Park as a venue for Euro 2028 until the safety advisory group there can guarantee that it can ensure the safety of all fans and all teams participating in sporting events. Because if they don't, then it means that anybody can make a threat at any time to any group of fans. And as I said earlier, the police will cower in front of them on safety grounds or on resource grounds. And before we know it, it's the mob deciding who plays who in our football competitions.
I know why you say that. I wonder if that is really the case, though, Simon, because whatever threats were made against whatever group, would this have been the case if it hadn't been an Israeli team or Jewish supporters?
Well, I think you've answered your own question there, because I don't see the same group of people protesting against the supporters or teams of any other country. But because they have decided for whatever reason, and it's not for us to go into here, that they don't like Israel, the government of Israel and what it's doing, they've decided to make threats against the players and the fans of one of the nation's football teams. And I'm afraid that that is the rule of the mob. And if you cannot protect those who are being protested against, then we've lost control of this. And as I say, I believe that this is discriminatory in the fact that they haven't done this against anybody else, and that there would be absolute outrage if Maccabi Tel Aviv did the same thing against Aston Villa fans.
So I'm just speaking a bit more generally. I mean, we've seen this rise in anti-Semitic attacks in Britain, haven't we? Do you consider that Jewish people are safe in the UK?
Well, by and large, they are, unless you want to go to a football match in Birmingham, or unless you want to go into central London on a Saturday afternoon when tens of thousands of people are protesting, calling for the globalization of the Intifada, or where there are people being filmed wanting to put Zionists in the ground. So, look, by and large, going about our day-to-day life, we are safe, but there are people around. There are certain places that are becoming no-go areas, and particularly if you are students on campus, you're facing all sorts of threats. So I think Jewish people are concerned, and when they see something like this happening, they just think that the police are not willing and not able necessarily to protect them.
Well, our national reporter, Jack Carson, joins us now. I mean, Jack, clearly there are so many questions here about how this could be allowed to happen, why they don't feel they can provide the relevant security for this match.
Well, that's certainly the question that people across the political spectrum were asking last night when this news came out, will continue to ask in the following days. And you're right, on the day that Keir Starmer met with the Jewish Security Trust, talking about not letting anti-Semitism run a strife in Britain, we get this announcement. So let's just remind of the statement that we got last night from Aston Villa. They said that the Safety Advisory Group, they are the group which are responsible for issuing safety certificates for every single match here at Villa Park, say that following a meeting yesterday afternoon, they have formally written to Aston Villa and UEFA to advise that no away fans would be permitted to attend Villa Park for this fixture, saying that the West Midlands Police advised them that they have public safety concerns outside the Stadium Bowl and the ability to deal with any potential protests on the night. Now, Aston Villa distanced themselves from essentially that, saying that they were obviously not the ones that made that decision. They said they were in continuous dialogue with Maccabi Tel Aviv and the local authorities. They say with the safety of supporters attending the match and the safety of locals at the forefront of any decision. But as you rightly said, the Prime Minister saying that was the wrong decision and that we could not tolerate anti-Semitism on our streets. And the Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp said that the decision was sickening and wrong, saying giving in to anti-Semitism is weak and immoral. You read out some of the other things, like the leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, saying that this was a national disgrace. But the local MP here, Ayub Khan, who was one of the biggest voices in trying to get these fans banned from the match, welcomed the decision, saying it was now time to ease tensions and set aside political differences. But given the reaction, as I was saying, across the political spectrum, it's hard to see how that becomes the case.
Jack Carson there for us in Birmingham. Thank you very much.
Let's talk to the Shadow Minister for Culture, Media and Sport, Louis French, who joins us now. Good to see you this morning. How should this be addressed? Is this something that the government can insist is reversed?
Well, good morning, GB News. Yeah, I agree completely with Kemi that this is a national disgrace that this has happened. We as a country should be welcoming international sports fans to our country to take part. It's a key part of football grounds and the atmosphere that we see in UK grounds. And as Aston Villa have, quite rightly distanced themselves from this, I suspect the club would not like to see the atmosphere diminished in the ground for this big European tie next month. The opinion of the Conservative Party last night and continues to be this morning is that the Prime Minister needs to stop wringing his hands, not just empty words. He needs to take action, he needs to get involved, he needs to have his Home Secretary urgently review this and seek to get this decision reversed in the international and national interest.
And in terms of keeping fans safe, because that's why this decision has been made in the first place, how do we move forward in that sense? Do we need to see police officers brought in from other forces to ensure that fan safety can be ensured?
Policing big football matches is not a new thing for this country. We've in many cases we see, football fans secure every single weekend, whether there's hostile rivalries on a local level or international level. I was thinking about it overnight, and I can't remember this happening since maybe the early 2000s, when there was the issue between Leeds and Galatasaray fans, where two innocent Leeds fans were sadly lost their lives in the first leg. So trying to think about the security side of it, I think that is where the resources need to go in to give West Midlands Police the resources they feel they need so that international fans can visit.
It seems a very odd state of affairs that that basically the potential victims of a crime are the ones being excluded from something.
And that's really the shocking element of this. It does feel like the local authorities involved have given into the mob, and you know the local MP that has been very clearly whipping up this situation for a number of weeks to be somehow now trying to play the peacemaker, I think is disgraceful, and I think most MPs have called that out overnight. We must be making sure that Jewish people, whether they are British Jews or from Israel, feel safe coming to the UK. And in this week of all weeks, where we've seen the hostages release, and for the first time, you know, some cautious optimism about the situation in the Middle East, we must try and move forward. We must try and stop this anti-Semitism and this sectarian hatred that is spreading across our cities.
And what do you think should happen to Ayub Khan? This is the MP that welcomed this news yesterday. He says, well done to all of those that signed that petition. This is sitting Member of Parliament celebrating not allowing Jews to attend a football match. How do we proceed with him?
I believe that would be a matter for the parliamentary standards to have a close look at, whether any rules have been broken. But you know, my personal feeling on this, you know, this man is not fit to be a member of Parliament of the Great British Parliament. We must be beyond this kind of sectarian hatred that we're seeing spewing across campuses and marches that we see week in and week out across the country. This has to stop. We're Great Britain. We're supposed to be a united country, and we have to try and move forward. But importantly as well, you know, for some viewers that might be saying, well, it's just a football match. I think it's the message that it sends to people visiting our country about whether they're going to be safe. And equally, for future international competitions, the UK must be seen as safe for visitors. Otherwise, we will not be successful in hosting such competitions in the future.